Oh, new camera, huh? Man, that looks rough.
It's supposed to be better. It's a better camera, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look.
It's just more expensive.
It doesn't look good at all.
I got to figure it out.
Well, I guess we're blurry. We're gonna be blurry on here. We're like Bigfoot.
Yeah, let me try this.
Oh, there you go.
That's a little bit better.
A little better, but it's more expensive doesn't always mean better. It just means it's more expensive.
I'll just keep playing with it.
Send him the link to it. So if you guys, if you're new to the Random Files, you probably aren't. You're probably people who are coming over from Paranormal Roundtable. Let me get a chance to fix this hat. Let me get there. I don't like the bill when it's all flat. It just sends a wrong message. It means that I'm one of those flat billed guys. That's not me. It's not who I am. That's not how I want to rep. I don't want to represent. I want to represent. If you know me and you follow me, go to my Facebook and check it out. Like I posted the video about what happens when you wear the wrong color bandana in the library. If you're wearing the wrong color bandana in the library, you might get checked. Because nowadays, even nerds are set tripping. And I'm telling you, man, you never know when one of these evil nerds are going to look up on you. When I mean look up on you, man, I mean like, you know what I mean? There's just no telling. If you're familiar with Paranormal Roundtable, then here in Austin we have a gang called Bats with Gats. You think I'm playing? I am. I made that up. But it's still the fact is the fact that there are a million Mexican free-tailed bats under the bridge in Congress Avenue, right, Anthony? You want to say hi to everybody, Anthony?
What's up, everyone? But yeah, Austin is famous for all these those Mexican free-tailed bats. There are hockey teams named after them, Austin Ice Bats.
Yeah.
So
no, they're not in existence anymore.
Well, they were.
Wow, that was a long time ago. It's been Texas Stars for like 15 years, something like that. Anyways, Anthony's like just living in a time capsule, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what?
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
go ahead.
Well, I'm just talking. You're looking at me all crazy. I mean, it's just dumb. The dumb thing to say.
Okay, well, it speaks badly for you.
Why? I'm not the one that said it.
Because you depend on me.
For what? To be dumb?
To be here and set this up. I mean,
well, you're one of those. I don't want to
poor judgment.
You might look up on me one day and be one of those nerds with the blue. Look, that's the color of the blue right there. Mickey G just did. There's the color of blue right there. You might be one of those nerds wearing one of them kind of bandanas, and then next thing you know, I'm getting, I don't want trouble, man. I don't want trouble.
No, I used to be the part of the Gat Bats.
The Gat Bats. I thought they were bats with gats.
Well, that's what outsiders called us. But
those on the know.
Yeah. We called each other Bat Gats.
I feel you, brother.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Very dangerous. Yeah, especially when you're trying to make an itty bitty little pew pew and you can put it on the bat so the bat can fly in and do. These were the original drones. What people don't know in this show, we're all about history, geopolitics, science. The original bat with the GAT was the nighttime drone, and the first world superpower to ever use this was Assyria. And you can take that one to the bank. All right, you can take that fictitious history to the bank, brother. I'm telling you. All right, so let me get started. I gotta kill the noise for just a second. Sorry about that. I don't want to make a bunch of noise because my headphones have been being used a lot lately. So if you're new to Random Files, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out what the show is all about. But most of you, I think, like I said, you're probably from the other channel or channels. We have multiple channels, not several. We have a few. Let's put it that way. I had to sit there and explain to somebody the difference between a few and several the other day, and they got really aggravated with me. And now here I am doing the same thing. I'm getting it wrong. So you want to bring on our co-host here? There she is. Anna Chode, everybody. How are you today, Anna?
I'm good, but I'm having technical difficulties. I'm having double sound, and apparently I'm a tech idiot, so I need to know how to fix it.
Well, I mean, I don't hear anything. I mean, do you hear anything, Anthony?
No. Do you have the YouTube show open like in another tab?
Yeah.
That's gonna be it. So if you can close out YouTube, it should get rid of the.
I'm a dummy.
Control.
I'm a dummy.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I mean, no, you're not a dummy.
No, yeah.
It's fixed.
He's calling you names. See, this is what I'm talking about. People don't know how evil he is.
I'm the only one that's been called dumb
Yeah.
today.
Okay. Good to go.
Yeah, but that was because you did.
I'm the victim here.
You did something dumb.
Okay. Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to say when somebody's done.
We will address this off camera. Okay. They're waiting for the show, so please.
Wow.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Please. Go ahead.
Folks, when you're dealing with cretins, this is what happens.
So unprofessional.
So unprofessional. They really are. I'm glad you admitted it. Thank you. Is that a form of apology?
I apologize for. I'm sorry for nothing.
No. See, sorry for nothing. Yeah.
So
Anna is our new co-host. Finally, we get to see her. She's going to be on the show. It's going to be a regular thing. We had you on the show one night, and you came on, and we just talked. But you were just like a phantom. You were just like a voice.
Your voice in the night.
I was just a floating voice on a black screen. Yes.
A disembodied voice like the one you recorded at Fox Hollow Farms.
Oh,
yes, exactly. Yes. And then I teased the audience, and then I disappeared for a few months because I got sliced and diced on the operating table and had to recover from that. So that's
what we were waiting on. We were not for you to be sliced and diced. We were waiting for you to recover from the slice and dice. Well, so what happened with that? What was up with that?
I had something. It's not very glamorous, and believe it or not, it's actually like. By the way, is the volume okay on the mic and everything?
Yeah, there's a bit of a buzz though. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I just checked. So the audience listening, they can't hear that buzzing.
So that's
sound.
just our.
Yeah,
our
that's just on us.
Yeah. So I just get to annoy you too. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So that's
good.
The audience is what's important, right?
Exactly.
The audience is what matters.
Yeah.
The audience.
I would prefer
it.
to just annoy you too.
That's all that matters, man. We got the audience. I got something in my eye, but we got the audience here. So Anna and I have been friends for years. And let's just give you the audience a little bit of a backstory so you know, because we got like 80 people in here right now. It's real relaxed.
Yeah.
I recognize all the names on here, but here's the thing. This is going to be a regular thing, and this show's going to become big, and it's going to blow up. I'm telling you, it's what's going to happen. It's just going to happen. So Anna and I had talked about this probably 2 months ago already. Now it's been a couple months, and we've been trying to get this coordinated. And in the meantime, I've kind of played around with random files, but I haven't gone full tilt on it, But every time we drop a show, we've done pretty good. Like we've got a pretty good audience on it. And of course, most of these people, and later on, if you're watching this and you don't know what we're talking about paratroopers. Those are people from PRT. PRT is Paranormal Roundtable. That's my other show. That's our big channel, our flagship channel. And we have others. Nelly has Dead Zone Transmissions, which is like these small short stories with animation. Some of them have animation. And then there is True Crime Paranormal, which we're going to be moving over to Random Files. When Madeline returns from her trip to Chicago, we're going to be getting back on that, and we're going to be doing that on Rumble. Now, I got to tell you about that. We're going to be doing a show, Anna and I and Anthony, called The Real Random Files. And that is going to be on Rumble. And that's going to be where you're going to find, like, the real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we can talk about a lot of things on here on YouTube. But when you want to really go deep and talk about certain subjects, you're going to have to take it to, you have to go to the other channel. That's going to be the
nitty gritty, because all of us, we have our strong opinions on things. Anyone who's followed me on Facebook knows that, and that's where we'll really be able to dive in and get into the deep topics without needing to censor ourselves as much. So I think people will have a lot of fun with that.
How is the sound? Can they hear Anna? Because you're a little bit quiet on. You're a little bit coming a little bit
Oh,
quiet on me, Anna.
Well, when I
okay.
checked on the like YouTube, that she sounds fine.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Okay.
So we'll figure it out, folks. So, anyways, tomorrow, just so everybody knows, tomorrow night we're going to do the real random files. Anna and I, same time, different show, but a little bit, going a little bit deeper. But this is YouTube, so we got to do what we got to do for YouTube, and we can get these subjects out there. So my idea was to do a show on Friday night, then we do another one on Random Files Rumble, where you can ask questions about the topics and we can go deeper into the explanations, because we can't do that really on YouTube. So that was my thing. Maybe it's a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea. It remains to be seen. If it's a bad idea, then I'm going to say, hey, me and Anna worked on it together. If it's a good idea, then it really was my idea. So just letting you know, that's just letting y'all know. We're just going to let y'all know that's how it works.
Sorry to cackle into the microphone.
No, I didn't hear. So, Anna, you had some things we were going to talk about today. I let you kind of, So, what do you got for us? There's some things that you wanted to discuss tonight, and
Yes,
there's a
I
bunch
have.
of things going on in the world. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have quite a few things I'd like to discuss. Most of them are of a more serious nature, but I thought it might be fun to get into one topic that came out today that I think people have been having a lot of fun with. I know I have, and even though it is of a serious nature in the sense that he's a horrible human being, it does, you have to admit, there's some humor to it, and that is Palm Beach Pete. And I
Oh,
thought that might be a fun topic to just dive into on a more lighthearted tone. So today, they announced that now, when they said that they were doing a DNA test, I'm thinking there is not a chance in hell that this is going to be a legit DNA test. They're just going to say, like, oh, it's not him, And I'm personally convinced that it's Epstein. And I know there are naysayers out there that say, no, it's definitely not him. And I call those people wrong.
I'll give you a
I
hint.
think,
They're the wrong suck people. They're just terrible.
yeah, like I mean, they identify bodies by dental records, and the guy's lower teeth are identical. It's the biggest troll in human history. And then the guy as soon as people identified the lower teeth, he started intentionally taking photos, smiling, showing off his lower teeth. And then he went to a dentist to have dental work done to change his lower teeth. And he's in the dental office holding up a phone saying, "Hey guys, where in the world is Palm Beach Pete? He's at the dental office. He's getting his teeth changed so that he no longer resembles that really bad guy, you know who." I mean, he's just enjoying it. He's enjoying kind of rubbing it in everybody's face, I think.
That's
And when
what
they
they
do
do.
side by side comparisons of the faces, they're identical. The freckles, the little moles, the age spots, the wrinkles, everything. It's obvious he just had a nose job and some cosmetic surgery. He had that surgery done where they make your eyelids show. Um, I think it's him. I definitely think it's him. But anyway, long story short, circling back around, these DNA results came out, and I thought that they were just going to say, oh, yeah, guys, it's not him. Just go back to what you were doing. The dude is running for mayor of Palm Beach.
Wow.
And to add insult to injury, he's going around literally on video saying, I'm going to give free Botox to all the citizens of Palm Beach, and I'm going to increase the number of pickleball courts. So he's running on like really hardcore moral campaign promises, right? More Botox for the citizens of Palm Beach. Great guy. Like I said, he's just having fun with this, right? And who else would be a better kind of psychopathic person who could get away with it and enjoy it? I mean, he's untouchable. So in my opinion, I think he's an ideal candidate for somebody who would enjoy doing that. But these DNA test results came out, and the bizarre part is that the city of Palm Beach today said, due to the findings of the DNA test, we have to officially ask you to drop out of the race. But they wouldn't say what the results were or why they disqualified him from running. And since when does a DNA test, when is that normally even a qualification for running for a political campaign?
Mhm.
So what in the world was in this DNA test? You know, what is going on there? It's just absolutely bizarre. And then they said, we're going to need you to do our own DNA tests before you can actually decide to run again for mayor of Palm Beach. I mean, the whole thing's just bizarre.
Yeah. So I will interject here. This is the weird thing to me, that people even are surprised that these people do these things in plain sight. I will give you 3 examples of things done in plain sight, and I'm going to make sure that tomorrow night on the real random files, we go into that. Number 1 is a particular event that happened during WW2. And I'm not going to get into what that was, but I will tomorrow on the real random files. Number 2 is the former president and his soulmate. So yeah, we can get into his soulmate, and we will get into that deeply tomorrow night. We can go into that too.
It took me a second
Michael.
to figure out who you were talking about. And then
I don't
it
want to, you know.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
Who?
You're talking about pickleball course, and I heard Big Mike, and I was like, well, you know, there's correlation there. But the thing is, I mean, you know, let's talk about this. In human history, there have been some things that have been covered up. Number 3, and probably the most important one, should have been number 1. But you want to talk about putting, you know, what would you call the pulling the wool over? What would you say? Gaslighting.
Hmm.
So the Holodomor, it's almost like it didn't happen. It's
Yeah.
literally like it didn't happen. And when these people who run the world, and see, this is what I did. You see a lot of people starting in this field that we're in, right? With the because we're conservatives. I'm going to be honest. You know, if you're liberal, you're just here to troll. You might as well go somewhere else because you're not going to like what I'm saying. But if you're liberal and you want to learn, then maybe stick around. And if you're conservative, you need to listen to what I'm saying, because there's different types of conservatives. There's the right kind of conservative and the stupid ones.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be the stupid ones. But these people are seriously practiced at causing war, mayhem, chaos, genocide, everything you could possibly think of. And then they do a little switcheroo shell game, and everybody's just like, oh, like they're just blown away. The thing with Palm Beach didn't surprise me even one bit. And Anthony, we talked about this. We were at work one night, and I said, "What do you think of this?" He says, "Obviously him."
Yeah.
I mean, and
Mhm.
why wouldn't it be? Because the best place to hide something is in plain sight. And they
Yeah.
love to do things out in the open. Now, coming from a paranormal background, and what I mean paranormal, I'm talking about alien abduction, ghosts, Bigfoot, you know, everything, werewolves, vampires, everything you could possibly think of. They've been on my show, or we've talked about it, or I've told the encounters on my show. We've had people come on a Monday night and talk about everything you could possibly think of, being attacked by flying beings, everything. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Most people, they go out into that deep water, and you know, they start here where we're at, putting their toes in the water. I'm a conservative, and then they start to realize that maybe there's a country down there that runs everything, and then they kind of, oh, I'm a real conservative now, but you're still not there. You're still not there. So then they wade out into the ocean a little bit, or the lake, whatever, if you're scared of sharks. So you just go out in the lake a little bit. And then eventually you say, you know what, I'm going to swim. And then, whoa, I can't do this. And then you learn to swim, right? And you go in, and then you just say, you know what, I'm going to swim out further. I'm going to swim out a little further. Take the inner tube, get rid of it, get rid of the life jacket, and then swim across to the other side. That's where I'm at. I'm on the other side waving, hey, don't drown. But the thing is, these people, they start off where we're at, and then they end up going into the esoteric, weird, paranormal, whatever. We've already done that. I started off at the end and went backwards. So now I'm going in reverse because I need to pick up people and say, hey, guys, get in, let's go. Where you're going to end up ultimately down these rabbit holes is that these people do symbolism, esoteric, satanic ritual.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of things you could not even possibly imagine. It's hard to even wrap your mind around. And they do it in plain sight because that's part of it, because they think that they can circumvent God and their own karma and their karmic debt, which does not go away. It doesn't go away. And that's on the other show. We've talked about this, but in a roundabout way, because Anna, you were one of our guests on the other show, early guests years ago, probably 7 years ago now. We've known each other for a long time. And you did a haunting at Fox Hollow Farms. Right? I think that's the
Yeah.
episode. If you want to go back and
Mhm.
look on PRT, Paranormal Roundtable. And Anna, you came on there with these EVPs, and it was just amazing. It was, the Baumeister case. Now, when you look at the case, just look at it from the, whatever. On the surface level, you're thinking, okay, this is a serial killer, right? But why was he able to do all the things he did and get away with it for as long as he did? And then you start looking at this guy's last name.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, so I put together something about that. And I noticed that a lot of them tend to be from a particular type of people. And they're white people. Yeah, that's like saying that one of my pet birds is a bat because they can both fly.
Mhm.
It's not the same thing. You're just throwing labels out there. And
Yeah.
this is part of the game to
Yeah.
me.
Well, there was all the weird ritualistic stuff with the way they found his body. There was like there was all these like dead blackbirds in a circle around his dead body, and I don't remember all the details. I mean, it was so many years ago, but yeah, there was some very strange stuff, and the people in the town said that it was rumored he was part of some sort of cult, and yeah, very strange things. And also regarding Epstein, just to interject briefly, but I want you to continue with the role that you were on. I listened to a really fascinating documentary just the other day, actually, when I was on that road trip when you texted me. And it was all about how Epstein, I wasn't aware of this previously, but he had collected religious artifacts from all over the world because he was fascinated with the more psychic charge that objects had, the more that he wanted to collect them and put them around his island. And they said that he wasn't so much, it's not so much that he was blackmailing the elite. It was actually that he was more of an occult practitioner for the elite.
Mhm.
And this, I don't know if you saw that documentary. It actually gained a lot of traction online. People found it really fascinating, but it was really good. There were even these like druidic stones or something like that were being dug up on one of his properties, and there was a bunch of information that most people don't talk about with him. But yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, there was a lot of occult stuff that he was into that, other than all the sex trafficking stuff that he was doing, I think there was way more occult activity going on, and even the symbolism behind the weird temple on his island, it's completely full of e every little detail he put into the design of that had occult symbolism behind it, and a lot of it had to do with summoning.
Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. Demonic summoning is not even what it was. It was archonic summoning.
Right.
Demons not really being archons. They are like they're children's children. That's what they are. So
Mhm.
these people were actually engaging in archon. And so you go you go deep. It goes really deep. And so when you start looking into who these people serve, now I've had this conversation on our other show before, and these Hollywood elites, they'll go onto the podium, and they'll be like, I just want to thank God. And people will be like, oh, that person loves God. They do love their God. If they're
Yeah, it's
capable
not
of
the same one.
loving,
Yeah.
but their God is also named Moloch or,
Mhm.
or Rimfan. I mean, that's who they're
Yeah,
worshiping.
or Lucifer, yeah.
Or Lucifer.
They're
Yeah.
definitely faithful, but what are they faithful to?
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
but we're not going to get into a whole thing about the esoteric on here. Go to Paranormal Roundtable where we talk about all of that different stuff. So, on the show, we were going to talk about a little bit about some of the things. We're going to move on from that subject and go into another one. What is the other one you wanted to get into? One of the others that you were telling me about.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go more into just immediate current events going on, which are pretty pressing matters for all of us, which is what's been on my mind with the cargo ship attack, on, the Iranian attack on the Singapore cargo ship. And I'm not sure if it's really come out whether or not the Singapore ship was even actually aware that the strait was completely closed down and that Iran had said, don't come through here, we're going to bomb you, or if they just hadn't gotten the memo. I really don't know. But they, from what I understand, it's the fact that the country of which I shall not name, I think we are all aware of the one I'm referring to, will not allow a peace deal to go through because they won't stop bombing Lebanon. And it's getting to a point where it's becoming pretty dire because our oil reserves are rapidly depleting. And it's the only reason that prices have been artificially driven down, even though they're quite high. They're a lot lower than they would be if we hadn't been tapping into our oil reserves, and we are going to run out in a matter of mere weeks. Even Trump himself said that. And so I don't know what's going to happen because it doesn't seem like any kind of peace deal is just tissue paper thin. It keeps falling through. I mean, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen here?
Well, I think that there are people, and I don't want to disagree, but I don't believe that our oil reserves are, and the reason is because the state of Texas exists, because Wolf Camp and the Gulf Shelf have as much oil as like Saudi Arabia and like the UAE combined. It's ridiculous. And so they've been playing a game of like, let's hide it. But everybody, and I've made this joke before. People think when you get off a plane in Texas, there's two things you see, right? Cows and oil rigs. Oh, yeah, and 10-gallon hats, right? But the truth of the matter is there are a lot of people in cowboy hats. We do have more cattle than anyone else in the country, and we have a ton of oil and natural gas. Now, I have on both sides of my family people that work in the oil business, on both sides. And one of my cousins literally, he owns oil rigs. Okay. And then my stepmother even had some at one time, and she sold. She's not rich by any means, anything like that, but she had some in our family. And it's not my family, but her family. And then when her family members passed away, of course it got passed down, and she sold her shares or whatever. But so it's not uncommon to people to own land that have oil and mineral rights. Here in Texas, when you sell a piece of land, it's very common for people to try to tell you, well, we'll sell you the land, but you can't have the oil or mineral rights. So if you strike, oil at a later time, we can swoop in and take that, and then you have to work a deal or whatever. But that was in the contract. When I bought land, I had to like cede the rights, the mineral rights to buy it, which is crazy. Or you can sit there and negotiate with it and pay a lawyer a bunch of money. So because it's very common to find oil, and they just found another spot in Texas. So I think the thing is the Permian Basin here is very large, it's very vast. And we have, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have more oil than Alaska, or that has been discovered in Alaska, and most of the northern part of the United States combined. We have the Gulf Shelf, because the Gulf of America, the Gulf Shelf, it was found, I think, in 2007. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I used to work for one of the guys that was responsible, one of the geologists that found it. He became really, really rich, real fast. Well, he wasn't a geologist. He funded the team that found it. And I ended up working for his ex-wife years ago doing security detail for her. And you remember her, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
You helped clean her house when you were young. Yeah. You needed money, and you were like, dude, this house got 8 bedrooms. I said, yeah. Oil money is big money. There's more money in that than anything else in the world, really. That
was just her summer house.
That was just her summer house. Yeah. She has a horse ranch. It's just huge. So you're talking about there are millions of millionaires in Texas. And a lot of it is because of the oil and the natural gas. So that is, don't let them fool you and tell you that we're out of reserves. Now, these are reserves. So that's like if you have a bank, right, a bank account for a business, and I know because I own 3 businesses, but if you said, okay, one of those bank accounts that backs that business up, right, that you have a reserve in there for your payroll. You have a reserve for whatever. So that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a reserve, but that's they can open these wells and start pumping at any time. And one of the things they did, they closed the oil wells in Texas off. The past several presidents did that. Now, you would ask, why would we do this? Well, because what happens if Texas just becomes so rich, we figure out real quick, we don't need the rest of the United States. And there is a secession movement in Texas. And I know
say they've thought about it.
They tried under Obama, and Obama threatened us. He literally threatened the governor and said, "Hey, you know, with the no-fly zone," he said, "We're going to put up a no-fly zone if you try to do anything at all." And so that was the whole thing. But in the media, it was just like a little blip. And I was like, did this dude just threaten us? You know, I was like, seriously. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's no bueno. But everybody, you got to understand something. And this is going to get into something else really quickly. I got to say this here. I can't stand it when conservatives are like, oh, this racism started with Obama. Now, I can't stand that guy. I mean, he's one of the worst presidents in the history of the entire universe. I think he's somewhere between Idi Amin and Joseph Stalin. But I like Idi Amin. I shouldn't insult him like that. But the thing is, you know, it's this guy was a terrible president. But stop saying that racism started with him. Okay, there are certain individuals, and we can talk about this tomorrow night. Certain individuals that make a profit. They make it into an institution of causing divisiveness and racism, sexism, every type of bad thing you can think of, and they're behind it every time. Right? Every time they're behind it. And we've talked about this on the Real Random Files. You know, people know where I stand with this. I mean, you know, I'm very open about my politics and I don't care. I'm open about the truth. I'm a truther, right? People ask me if I lean left or right. I'm in the middle, but I'm a truther, right? Because everyone really should be in the middle because there's certain things that I appreciate about socialism, like maybe one thing. Like maybe one thing. Okay. And that's if you've got the healthcare correct and you really got it correct. But let's be honest, they don't. And it is just a stepping stone for the communism that they want to install. And then communism leads to, well, let's just put it this way. The F in communism stands for food.
Yeah. Always has.
It always has, you know? So yeah. So basically, if you want to eat, you know, that's something that I like. I think all human beings have that right, but you know, you shouldn't complain about it, comrade, because you don't need food. You also seem to be addicted to air and water. That's another problem that communism poses.
Yeah.
But who created communism? There again, it's the same people. So the same people who did all of that, they also hurt my great state by saying, we're going to cap this because we don't want them to figure out that, hey, we could just walk away from this union and not have to worry about anything. And it always cracks me up when Californians, they're like, we have the sixth or whatever that is now, the biggest economy. It's bigger than Texas. I'm like, dude, we're sitting on more oil than the Middle East. And you're talking about how you have more bigger economy. And some dum-dum will go and they'll watch CNN or whatever, or Fox News, and then go, oh, Billy, that's not true. Texas is, because they're going to flat out lie to you. But I live here and I got a lot of family I have family that actually are even on the periphery making a lot of money. They just clean the oil equipment, the equipment that they use to do all the digging, drilling, all that stuff. And another one of my cousins, he works on that stuff. Yeah. Well, and then one of my cousins helps produce the stuff, the bits and all that. Go ahead.
How does it work with oil? Because I know nothing about any of this. How does it work with refining the oil? Is that like with the oil reserves? Is that oil that's already been refined and that is storing it up?
Good point. That is exactly. So they're saying that, but they're talking about ready to use oil, and there's a name for it, and it's just people call it different things depending on the country. But you're talking about usable, available oil. Okay, but it's kind of a well, it's a lie, because what they do is they're making more all the time, and they call it our reserves. So we have already ready to go refined oil, but all they have to do is open up the caps here in Texas. We have them in Houston. We have them in all the way from East Texas, all the way across to West Texas to the Permian Basin. There's a ton of it. So there's no, that is that peak oil BS. I mean, everybody in the country was laughing about, in the state was laughing about that back then. I mean, there is no peak oil. I'm sorry, not in Texas. Texas has enough oil to power the entire country for the next 200 years.
Wow.
And so you might ask this question, well, why do we need to buy it from the Middle East? There's two reasons. Number one is because, like I said about Texas, they need Texas, and they don't want Texas going, yeah, we could make our deal with the rest of the world. become our own country and get away from the United States. But then that would create that would be a war, right? Hold on
Yeah.
1 second.
Okay.
So here's the thing. If we were talking about having real peak oil, I would be like, oh, I'm concerned. Whoa, we better watch it. But we know that this was just another one of their little scams, right? So then they could tax you and abuse you and do all kinds of other things that they being, I know exactly who they are. I could give you a name, but I'm not going to. So this is what they do. But if you have neighbors that want to destroy you, right? You get the world's largest superpowers to buy something from these people. Make it part of a non-aggression treaty so that now, because they allow you to exist, that superpower agrees to buy all their oil from these other countries. People don't realize like how just that one group dominates the entire scope of everything. It's deeper and bigger than anybody could possibly imagine. This is not, people talk about this stuff and they're like, oh, Charlie Kirk, this and that. You have no idea. Read the Bible, when Jesus says that you suffer unto those who claim they are those and they are not, he's telling you. And they are of what we call the synagogue of Satan. Now, think of it like this. There is a treaty with Egypt. Egypt doesn't have a lot of oil. But why is it that Egypt is a regional power, a very strong regional power? So what ends up happening? They have to figure out a way to make their gross domestic product, right? So what do they produce? What does the fertile Nile Valley produce in copious amounts?
Cotton.
Mm-hmm. So do you remember the campaigns when we were young? And I don't know how old you are. I'm not going to ask you this on air. Okay, women don't like to reveal their age. But
75.
Just okay. So she's admitting to being a vampire, folks. All right. So here's the thing: when we were young, when I was young, and I'm 50, I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks. So when you were young, you were told, well, this is crazy, right? Egyptian cotton, like in the 90s, it became like, oh, and there were these women that would rub towels all seductively. I remember this one commercial. She's like, oh, those thread count, those are sheets and Egyptian lady. You're not fooling me, because I'm from Texas, and our cotton ain't no different than your cotton over there in Egypt. And one of my friends used to work over there, and he told me, he says, there's nothing over there that we don't have over here. So you had all these farms, and some of my family were farmers, and they grew cotton. And so they said, well, we're going to sell our land so there were all these government subsidized programs buying up all of the land, and everything shifted to Egypt. Why? Because of a non-aggression treaty with Egypt to protect that little country that everybody's talking about right now, that's constantly popping off. And, they're like the David Koresh, we're not coming out. We're not going to stop. Well, good, fine, whatever.
Right.
So this is what happens. We sign a non-aggression treaty with Egypt. Now, Egypt is, I think, number 2 of the most money that we give them every year. It's like 1.2 billion. It's a ridiculous amount of money. And then everybody's saying that we're only giving that other country 4 billion. That is not correct. And I'll tell you why. Because that is what we give them. That is not what gets to them through unpaid back loan programs, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 billion.
Mm-hmm.
They make enough money for every man, woman, and child to actually have free healthcare, free school, free daycare, and then they give them free business classes. Can you imagine what we could do with that? We would love to have this. Do you think that there would be as many left-right shenanigans and black-white shenanigans and gay-straight shenanigans and all this other shenanigans that they pull? The divisiveness, would it be there if you were going, hey, what are you fighting about? Here's some money.
Yeah.
Well,
Where did that come from?
Haven't they also kind of financially, aren't they going to benefit now too, that they've combined our militaries? And I realize that they're not literally merging the two militaries, but they're going to get some benefits from that, aren't they? They made some announcement that the US and, those guys, the military, was going to be combining.
Yeah. So that is another whole, that one right there. Okay. So they will get massive amount of benefits from it. We won't. We get
Right.
nothing as usual, and then they get to be, Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean by that is Puerto Rico is like an American protectorate. So they get the benefits of autonomy. They don't have to answer to anything. They're on the government United States. And we are their cash cow. And how people can still sit up there and it's not everybody. And I got to say this, I've picked on the boomers. I love the boomers. My dad's birthday today. I talked to my dad for 30 minutes today. But he was busy. He had things he was doing. He was eating his cake and everything with my stepmom. So I tried to keep it short. He was, I try to go see him once a week, but he's a boomer, right? But he is an awakened boomer. Like, he knows, right? He used to be a Democrat, hardcore. No matter what the Democrats said, hey, drink this Kool-Aid, he was like, I'm there, Now he's so far. And I told my dad, I said, you've done that slingshot thing. Where you just get pulled, and then you're just like, bah, So now he's going through the withdrawals and the anger, and So the average boomer is just like, why are they attacking these people, Billy? This is God's people, the Chosenbergs. If they say that we need to take a crap on us, that we need to do it. By golly, we deserve it. That's what we get for not obeying the commandments of whatever.
Yeah.
Now put on John Hagee on the TV.
What was that, Anthony?
No, put John Hagee back on that flicker box.
John Hagee. Oh, he's a good one. Go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. It won't be funny in retrospect after all that. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's absolutely mind-blowing that a country of 9 million people can pull the strings the world over, And I saw that interview with I don't know if I should say the name of the agency. Let's just say it's the agency that James Bond worked for, but the one for that country. And it was agents. It was agents for that agency, and they were literally being interviewed in disguise.
You're talking about the Mossad?
Yes, and they're being interviewed. They're being interviewed by 60 Minutes. I don't know how that got arranged, but they were in disguise and they had their voices disguised, and they were on 60 Minutes, literally saying, we have shell companies within shell companies. Nobody knows that we completely basically run the world, and we are the actors and the directors on the world stage, and we create the Truman Show, and nobody knows.
The Truman Show was a documentary.
They just said it.
Some people do. And then 30 years ago, when I was saying all of this, when I was a 21-year-old man, everybody was like, you're crazy, man. I like you, but you're crazy.
Yeah. Well, even right now, if you say it, you're considered
radical,
antiseptic. I'll put it that way. But they say it. They come out on 60 Minutes and just say it openly, and people just don't bat an eye. It's bizarre. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Law Morgan had a comment here. He says it's basically True Man.
Yeah.
True Man Show. So they even name things that way. So you can, and this thing with old Pete down there in Florida. So he doesn't even leave the country, because why should he? Yeah. And then when he supposedly was 86, people were saying they killed him. They did this, they did that. And I made a joke. I said he could be pronounced dead and go out and just keep going, because he had so much power over all these people. What did it matter? And they love to do things right out in the open, in your face. Look at Abe Finkelstein. He was the rabbi. He told you exactly what
he's the reason I don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah, that's why I said the Mossad. Yeah.
The McFlesh.
Yeah. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow night, and the blood libel and what they do and how they do it and all this other stuff. It's history. See, the one subject in the West, and I'm talking every single country in the West. And if you're talking about the West, I mean, let's talk that's why you got to know history, folks. Let's go to the Iron Curtain, where it fell. Everything east of Poland or west of Poland, right? So let's say that those countries, and let's say the United States, Canada, let's throw Oceania in there. That's Australia, New Zealand, right? let's say North America. That's the West, right? Even Mexico, you can throw Mexico in North America. So these countries, every one of them, I was reading a list. It was like 10 years ago, but I'm sure it still holds true. The least favorite subject of all these children. Do you know what it was? History. They hated history. So they made it to be so annoying, so watered down, so dumbed down that nobody wanted to. I hate history. I hate it. Well, of course you hate history because it's not fun. It's not fun. They make it not fun. And so to where they actually like math even more because you see mathletes and all this stuff. And I was on the mathlete team. We actually had one. It was a school. I wasn't a nerd. I was a nerd jock. Let's put it that way. But I did do the mathlete thing. I was in advanced placement classes. I was really good in math, right? But I got to be honest, not one of the people that I went in the math, competitions, nobody, I was the only one that lifted weights. Like everybody was just like, what is that like? I'm like, why don't you try it? It's just like and everybody that I played ball with, they were like, can you help me with this? So you're put into these boxes by society. You're a nerd, you're a jock, you're a this, you're a that, you're an emo, you're depressed or whatever, then you do that, This is the society we grew up in. They kind of put you into these little categories and you police yourself. You police yourself. You're supposed to hang out with certain groups. You don't hang out with other groups. And then that creates divisiveness, tribalism, and of course, destruction. And but it's taught to you at a young age to be that way. Then you have someone that comes along and I'm like, I play Dungeons and Dragons and whatever, but I also play football, So what do you do with somebody like me? You're not really fitting in, are you? You're doing all of these things that they don't want you to do. You're breaking every stereotype known to man. But at the same time, stereotypes exist and they exist for a reason. But people fall into these categories on their own. The way I look at it, and it's very obvious to me. I see it clearly. You choose your own reality. And if you watch Paranormal Roundtable, folks, you'll know what I'm talking about. You literally choose your own reality, the reality that you want to live in. You create it and you live in it. And you will defy the matrix. See, that's what we're living in, is a simulation created by Satan. And Jesus tells us that, that he's the Lord of illusions, right? Mm-hmm. So that's, and so you start to figure this out. So, yeah. But, back to you, Anna.
Don't even get me started on that. I'll go on a whole tailspin about the Gnostic texts and the Nag Hammadi Codex, and I'll go down a whole rabbit hole regarding that and the Matrix reality and being a construct of Lucifer, and yeah, we can dive into that sometime too. So another topic that was on my mind are these Argentinian fires. And so I think it kind of goes full circle, and I think it ties into a lot of different topics that are currently going on in the world. And so go on a little journey here with me. But what's been rattling around in my brain is that, first of all, I want to say President Milei, I was a big fan of his at first. And always at first you think, oh, this guy's going to be different. This guy's going to be different. And then sure enough, they kiss the wall and they're BFFs with who, and they start doing all the same stuff and enacting all the same policies. And it came out recently that he has said that he's going to make Argentina a sanctuary for unregulated AI. And nearly every country in the world has agreed that there need to be some regulations on AI. And I think it kind of goes without explaining why. But for some reason, he says it should be totally unregulated, and that he wrote a whole op-ed in the Financial Times that just recently that he was going to make it completely unregulated and a totally friendly place for these tech bros. And it turns out Peter Thiel, the psychopath who's completely obsessed with the Antichrist, we can go into that sometime too.
Yeah.
There's a whole rabbit hole there that we can go down. He has decided he's going to be moving his whole, well, I don't know if he's moving the whole operation, but a huge chunk of it to, drumroll please, Argentina.
Hmm.
Now, for the past 5 months, all of these Argentinian forests have been on fire. And lo and behold, people have been capturing video of little Hatland tourists, okay, definitely not agents in disguise saying that they're tourists, who have admitted that they are the ones starting these fires. And it turns out that Malay had enacted laws stating that if land was decimated by fires, that foreigners could come in and purchase it. And if I'm not mistaken, pretty much use it for whatever they wanted. Now, these huge data centers require massive cooling because they heat up to such insane amounts. And so they have to, if I understand correctly, they have to have these giant cooling tanks underground. So something that's really handy for that would be, I don't know, a giant forest lake that might have burned down recently. So all of this to me seems like it might be adding up to Argentina being in league with a certain country where they are working together to make a very friendly place for this AI technology and all of these data centers coming in and doing massive land grabs. That's just sort of the impression that I'm getting from it. I don't know what you may be thinking is going on with all of that.
So your impression would be correct, but there again, we'll go into the history. Okay. So I'll tell you about this. Argentina, let's go back to Juan Perón. Anthony, do you know who Juan Perón was?
Yeah, he was the leader of Argentina during and after, I believe, World War II. He was very friendly with the Axis
He was a
powers.
fascist. So Juan Perón wrote an entire, like I don't know what you would call it. What is the word you would call that? He wrote an entire
Like a manifesto.
manifesto. Yeah, I guess that would be the best word for it. So he wrote an entire manifesto based on his beliefs and why he thought that there should be an alliance. And he named different countries, and it was his relationship with Franco in Spain. The Latin American countries, Chile was another one. They were very friendly with the fascists, and Italy, Germany, Japan, Finland. People don't even know that Finland, and they don't realize there's all these other countries: Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary. They were all allies. There would have been, if there wasn't an ocean separating them, there would have been a military movement from Argentina. But the Navy power of Britain and the United States kept Argentina in check. So they had an army, but not the Navy. Now, here's some interesting thing. Even ever since World War II and Juan Perón, they have not allowed them to really grow a Navy. I looked this up one day, and Argentina is like, I think they only have like 3 submarines or something like that. It's a very small Navy. And that's because they've always flirted with or been a part of the fascist kind of leaning that way, At one time, I remember they were called the most racist country in south of the border because there were ethnically a lot of white Argentinians there. But it's weird because in Argentina, along with Peru and Chile, there are communities of German, Japanese, Italian,
refugees.
Exactly. That they developed there after the war. So if anybody knows real history, where did Hitler go after he supposedly died? He ended up over there with Perón because Perón was his buddy. And Franco was the one who I like that guy for one main reason, because Stalin, to the day he died, was cursing Franco and Perón, and he wanted them dead. And he, on the week of his death, I don't know if this is a truth or it's a myth, I read this, but that Stalin woke up screaming Franco. Like he wanted him so bad because, at the Potsdam conference, he said, I want him. I want his regime. And Franco said, well, if you're going to do that, you know, you're going to have to come into to Spain and fight me. And so nobody wanted to do that. So France, who people don't realize this, the south of France was actually under the Vichy regime, and they willingly fought for the fascists. The main reason that happened is because Britain left them on the beach. And so, yeah, I mean, when you have like this battle and, you know, and they just bail on you,
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Dunkirk.
At Dunkirk. And then Churchill came out. He goes, oh, you know, wars are not won with evacuation, you know. And then you're looking at Churchill and you're going, this guy is one, not even a whole one, probably a half a donut away from a major heart attack or something. But somehow he lived to be into his 90s. That's that good old fashioned, yeah, you did good, Goyim. So we're going to give you a cookie and you're going to live for a long, long time. And that's what he did. So he did all their dirty work, got the West mobilized because the Germans were the worst thing that ever existed. We got to go after the Krauts and blah, blah, blah. We made a deal with the devil, i.e. Stalin and the communists, and people to this day are buffaloed by it. So that, to me, World War II and everything that happened in World War II was a giant psyop that happened right in front of our faces. So if they could get the entire world to mobilize against the people who were trying to stop something bad, well, I mean, what do you think Palm Beach Pete? That's an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
They have an entire, it's a book, like 1,000 books put together of the things that he did and what he was all about. And nobody has done a damn thing about it, and nobody will. They know this. They know this because they literally killed 65 million people. Communism did. Most of them were Christians. The NKVD created most of those camps that everybody's talking about. These camps like Treblinka, all that was all already there. The NKVD had already done their damage. They were already using these countries and doing all this. They were rounding up the kulaks, who were predominantly Christians, and they were destroying them, and they were taking their land. And so nobody did anything. But the minute that Germany and Russia, Soviet Union, together invaded Poland, Britain declared war on Germany. Now, give me a break here, dude. Why would you declare war on Germany and not the Soviet Union?
Mm-hmm.
That's a mind-boggling thing. How many times in history have they ever asked that question? And I'm going to give you this, and I'm going to go back to the Argentinian thing, but let's go down a quick spiraling rabbit hole here. Ghislaine Maxwell. That is Palm Beach Pete, if it is to be believed, allegedly the EPS guy, right? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, we'll say we don't know.
Right.
We're waiting results, right? Yeah. Let's say that just for sake of argument, that Palm Beach Pete is whatever. His madam, his mistress, whatever it was, Ghislaine Maxwell. Who was her dad? He's the guy that made the textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Rockefeller. He was actually related to the Rockefellers, who were originally from Czechoslovakia, Romania. Go look up his name is not Robert Maxwell. He's from, I gotta look it up and make sure that I get it correct.
I think he was born into like a Ukrainian Orthodox Jewish family or something like that, if I remember correctly. Something along those lines.
I thought it was
I could be wrong.
So he created the textbooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Ukraine, right? But here's the interesting thing. He's not Ukrainian. No. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I think he like owned the publishing company or something for it.
The Maxwell, for all of our textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here it says the overview here, the Wikipedia says Robert Maxwell was a Czechoslovak born British, French, not British, but they always use that. Or British, you're not British, not French. Media proprietor and politician of Jewish descent. He escaped the Nazi occupation. Whatever, dude. They always escape somehow. Okay, whatever, dude. Yeah. So this is what they say, right? But here you have a guy who was responsible for our textbooks. So what does he do? He makes history suck. Right? And then they do this little sleight of hand thing. So you have this guy, he created that, right? Isn't that a coincidence? Isn't that funny? When you stop and you look at this and you're going like, dude. So there's the answer right there. I mean, like, obviously He created it. He made history what it is. He made the bad guys be the good guys and the good guys be the bad guys. And he was related to the Rockefellers. Now, there's the Rockefellers, the Redstones, and then there's a whole bunch of them. There's 13 of them, but each one is a different tribe.
Rothschilds.
Yeah, the Rothschilds, the main one.
And
They own.
that was I don't know if I should say the biggie, the
Yeah, let's not even. Yeah.
Palm Beach Pete's employer
Mhm.
was the Rothschilds, one of his employers.
Yeah. Yeah, and their name means red shield. It's in German, but they're not really German, right? So what does this have to do with Argentina? It has a lot. Everything is always connected, right? Well, let's take this. You have this situation that happened in Argentina. Remember how I told you they do everything in plain sight? Who is the biggest supporter now of that particular country and that particular people in Europe? There's two of them, and they're kind of tied for neck and neck. And it might surprise you, but Germany and Britain. In Germany, if you even were to utter anything, and Britain, if you say anything against them, that's a felony. We're not talking about a misdemeanor. We're talking about we'll come to your house and we will arrest you. You can't say anything. And then they set about the work of destroying Europe. And how did they do that? How did they do that? Because they bought and sold all these politicians, raised up on these Maxwellian textbooks to be socialists, because social Marxism is all in those textbooks. And then they tell you, oh, everybody's supposed to live in everybody's land. There is no race, there is no religion, and there is no gender. If you don't know if you're a boy or a girl, and you don't know what your religion is, or, you tell children nowadays, or not children, but like, young adults, whatever, and you tell them, what are you? Well, my mom and dad are this and that. They don't go, I'm a Baptist. I'm a, whatever. They don't, no, there is no religion now. Because, religion is bad because they've been exposed to the worst parts of it. They've had these televangelists unleashed on them. Everybody has been lied to. They see Islamic extremism, which exists. Yeah. And then you see all of this other garbage. And then you're going like, oh, well, I don't want to be a religion. Religion is bad. What about God? And then to them, God is some female goddess or some weird whatever,
Yeah.
they don't have any clue about anything. And they don't even know if they're a boy or a girl. Well, there's 139 genders. No, there's not. Right?
Yeah. And it's such a complete dichotomy because on one hand, tribalism is dialed up to the max to keep everybody divided. And yet at the same time, they are constantly pounding it into everyone's head that there are no dividing lines between anything. There are no country borders. There are no borders between sexuality or gender. There are no borders between races, and yet all they do all day long is pump up tribalism to get people to hate each other.
It's kind of like some of the people I've worked with. They're like, compliance for thee, not for me. That's what they put their rules in place so you get in trouble, you fall into a trap, and then they pull them away for themselves to where they don't have to be responsible. And then you end up having to go to court to make them be held responsible. And then, you're paying somebody to do it. And that's the system, because they have bred everyone down to be that way. So what does this have to do with Argentina? So Juan Perón, Hitler, right? Argentina was the big ally of Germany, of Italy, of Spain. And they took in a bunch of these fascist expatriates. And when these expats, they were there and they were protected for a long time. Interesting. I've talked about this before, and we'll get into it one day on the Random Files, maybe the real Random Files or whatever. But look up the trial of Adolf Eichmann, where he says, I am a Zionist and I was doing your bidding. And now I'm on trial for what you had me do. It's a very interesting thing. And you're going like, oh, that guy's just crazy. He's just crazy. And then as you get a little more red pilled, you're like, that guy's crazy. You're like, he's crazy, right? And then you're kind of going like, wait a minute, maybe he's not crazy. And then you go through the stages of emotion, And then the final stage is acceptance. And you're like, that guy's not crazy. He was helping them. This was part of it, dude. So then what do they do? Right? For some reason, they can't go into Argentina and grab Hitler. Wouldn't that have been a coup, right? Wouldn't the Mossad been able to go in there and get him and grab him and make him be held accountable for what he did? All these crimes against humanity? That guy needs to go down. But then you got Stalin over there screaming because he can't even get to Franco, and he probably knows Hitler's over there and he can't do nothing about it. And then the little angry man dies and he goes to hell. But remember, his accomplices, there were 13 of them, right, altogether. 12 of them were of one persuasion. Stalin was the only one that wasn't. And then he ended up, because he knew the game, he ended up winning. It was a Game of Thrones. He did it, and he played it, and he won. Evil guy. So why would they use Argentina, of all places? Well, when you conquer a place, you have to plant your flag. And they conquer by way of deception. In fact, that's what that means, right? By way of deception, we will conquer. That is the saying of the Mossad. This is crazy, and it is Mossad, because they have literally parasitized these countries. And now you have Germany and Britain, who are their bully boys, at each other's throats, brother against brother. Really, the same people genetically, not much difference. One spoke German, the other one spoke Gaelic. And then they became England, and then Britain and whatever. And Germany backed them during every war. The Hessians, the Prussians, they were always on the same side. They fought together against Napoleon. They didn't fight each other until World War I, when little brother, the Germanic states, became big brother. And then Britain said, oh, we have a problem here. And then they fought each other, World War I. And then World War II, it was a battle of ideologies, and we have to throw off the yoke of whatever. And then it became go into overdrive, get everyone riled up against the people who are making the noise against these people. And so what ends up happening, Argentina is now having to become, because they could have done this at any other country, but they specifically wanted Argentina. They wanted Argentina because Argentina is smart. It's beautiful. And the people there have one of the highest IQs in the world. The Japanese have the highest IQ of the Asian community, of the East Asian world. The Germans had the highest IQ of anyone in Europe. And the Argentinians had the highest IQ of anyone in South America. Do you think that that is a coincidence? If you think that's a coincidence, I have a bridge right there in Phoenix, Arizona. I will sell you for, it's a sale, 10 grand. Send it to me, Cash App. Yeah, okay. So these are coincidences, right? But we know that these aren't coincidences because there's no coincidences. Let's be honest what they are. These are truths. I'm a truth seeker. And that's why I brought Anna on, right? Yeah, because we're truth seekers and we've been at this for a long time. And Anna has a following on Facebook, you wouldn't believe. I'm not as good looking as her, so she's got the following on Facebook. But with me, with my wacky ideas, people kind of go, look at this guy where he's talking about vampires. My neighbor said something like that one day. Honey, do you think that? No way, vampires can't be. I guess I'll just watch another episode and say, oh, what if this is real? Yeah, that's an unsettling thought, isn't it? That we are actually run by vampires, that they drink blood and they do horrible things to our children. That would be nuts, wouldn't it? And then all of a sudden, this wacky guy that comes out and says all these goofy things. And I've been called every Jones in the book. He's the Jerry Jones of the paranormal. He's the Alex Jones of the paranormal. He's the Jim Jones of the paranormal. I'm every Jones you could imagine. I've been the Jones, right? I'm that guy. Yeah. But one thing I'm not is wrong. I am not wrong about this. I'm telling you the truth because we are winners. That's why you're here, because all you do is win all the time. I always win. I get into fights. I get in fights all the time. I get into wars. I don't want it. I don't want it. But if you bring it to my doorstep, I'm going to hammer fist you. Now I don't have to do it physically. There's a lot of ways to do it. See, I was a mathlete. I know how math works. I do. I know how history works. I know how science works. And you need to get educated, folks. I'm telling you. Read books. Don't just watch Netflix. I know Yellowstone is fun and everything, but it's not. Let's be real. Let's do reality. Because the quicker we get into the real reality, all of us together in the same reality, we can change that reality. That's my lesson for today, if there is a lesson to be learned. So there is the Argentinian thing. That is why they're doing it. And it is something that we can't fathom, because people always do this and don't do this. People always look for a physical, our matrix world reason, when the real reason is so esoteric. There is a reason behind it, but you're not going to understand it unless you wake up to the real reality. When we do Paranormal Roundtable, I say, welcome to PRT. Join us in the real reality. It is the real reality. It is. And now, you know, they used to call us conspiracy theorists. Now we're just truthers, because we're like telling you the truth. Or you're a prepper, you're a this, you're a that. Everybody should be a prepper. I mean, they're like, you're a prepper? I'm like, why is there a name for that? It's called reality. Live in it. Everyone should be a prepper. Everyone should be prepared for whatever. You should be a prepper. I'm a prepper. She's a prepper. You should be a prepper too. I just think that this is reality. We need to live in it. And learning these uncomfortable truths, well, you know, sometimes it's hard. It is. You know?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, and you do go through different stages. You really do. I mean, I've been on this journey for probably a good 20 years now, and I try to have compassion with people, because you get frustrated sometimes with, you know, you call them normies or whatever. But I look back and go, I used to be just like that way back in the day. I was just as clueless, and so I need to not be judgmental of others. And what's frustrating though is just that when you meet somebody and you're 20 years deep into research and you realize they're just starting out, and you stop and you think to yourself, where the hell do I even start? You know, where do you start breadcrumbing somebody, because you forget what it was like to be at a point where you need to start really, really small and not overwhelm somebody or not freak them out. And it's like you can't even remember how to get back out of the rabbit hole far enough to help them find their way down the path.
And there are a lot of rabbit holes, and they're all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. My goal was to make all these channels be interconnected, and we had true crime, paranormal, and we were going down the serial killers and all that, and going through the different, from the Ars Goetia, the different demons. Where they call them demons, they're really archons. And somebody may be confused. What's the difference between an archon and a demon? Well, demons are the descendants of the archons. So there's 72 of the fallen, which are not. This is the rebellious. The fallen, there were 200 watchers that were fallen. So, you know, and then it gets, I don't want to get into a whole esoteric thing here, because this is really about conservatism, but this is the real reality, conservatism. You know,
The esoteric is really the key, though. People can go down the rabbit hole of conservatism, and that's great. That's really important. But it's not until you get deep into the weeds of the spiritual battle that's really going on that you start to unlock the code and really get the keys of understanding, of realizing what's, as much as any human being can, of understanding more what's truly going on in our world. Without that, I don't I don't think people can really have much of a grasp on what's going on.
yeah. You know, another thing too, remembering that you were indoctrinated. In other words, remembering being indoctrinated. It's 1 foot out of the matrix.
You have to unlearn. Yeah, you have to unlearn.
Unlearn it. Unlearning these sad and then joining, you know, us in the real reality. I'm not telling you folks that you need to go run out and go subscribe to PRT, but I'm telling you right now, you need to run out and go subscribe to PRT, because that's where you're going to learn. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff there, but you're going to have the stuff that you'll learn about the other side, because people don't look at things from every angle. They look at things like they don't know the history. So they don't know why they would choose Argentina. Why would you choose Argentina? You don't have to choose Argentina. They could have chosen a lot of other places. But Argentina was always diametrically opposed to them. Argentina helped their enemies. So Argentina had to be done away with.
Yeah.
Argentina had Juan Perón.
Yeah.
Spain had to go down because of Franco. All of these countries had to be taken down. And they had to do it either through their social Marxism or they had to do it through capitalism run amok. Thank you for that donation, Amy Crew. How are you doing? And it's one of those things where you go down that rabbit hole and you come out of that cold water and you're a different person. I take an ice cold shower every day. Why do you do that? People ask me all the time. It's not because I want to be, my face, it'll tighten your skin up, make you look younger, but it's not. It's because I feel reborn after I do it. I take a warm shower. I don't feel clean. I don't know I just don't like it. I don't like warm water. I got used to being a cold water guy, and I've been doing it for years now. I even do it in the dead of winter. And my wife, she's like, "You're gonna die in there. She'll come in the bathroom. It's like, you've been in there long enough. It's been 3 minutes." And that's a good thing. You don't need to do 3 or 4 more minutes. Just do what you got to do and get out. It's a cold shower, right? But the bottom line is this. It's good for you. It's a purification. And do the breathing. I do the Wim Hof. No, I don't do the breathing a bunch and then putting my head in the water. And then they're like, "Oh, well, people died." Well, yeah, you don't need Wim Hof to kill you. I mean, you can do it yourself. If you're stupid. Stupidity should be painful. And maybe you should learn and then you won't be as stupid. I remember being stupid, and then you do something, and then you have to pay the price. I mean, it's just life, But so many people they just think that they're going to walk around through life, and nothing's going to happen to them, and they can just do and screw people and do whatever the bad things are going to do, and then you're going to come across one of these people, and that person is smart. They're smarter than you, and they're 2-3 steps ahead of you, and they'll even tell you exactly what they're going to do, and they'll do it. The one thing I've always prided myself on is not stabbing people in the back. I don't do that. I'll come at you straight from the front, and we should all be able to be that way. If you have a problem with something or someone, talk it out. If they're not willing to talk, and war is the only solution, then make damn sure you win it, and then that way it won't have to happen again. Because people they're deceptive. They do awful, horrible things, and then make you feel bad, like you're the guy that was like you did something wrong. That's the way of the world. So be prepared for anything. That's what I say. Build your mind and your body. Go to the gym, lift weights. That is the fountain of youth, folks. Really, truly, lifting weights since I was 14. Go to the gym, lift weights, exercise, work out, eat as healthy as you can. Stay off of the carbs. Sugar and salt is horrible. Our foods are loaded with sugar, fat, and salt. I mean, there's a book I read, it was called Sugar, Fat, and Salt. This is the name of it. It's Sugar, Fat, and Salt, and how corporations got us. I don't know. You can Google it and go on to Amazon. When I read that book years ago, one of the things I took away from it was the names of these companies, and I looked all the companies up and I figured out who they belong to. They all belong to 3 families. Then you start to realize, like, oh crap, not good. You don't want all these same people. Somebody says salt bad. No, not all salt, but it is this table salt.
Yeah, it's terrible.
One of the most abundant minerals on earth. And then they say, oh, it's kosher.
Yeah. Not all fat is bad either. Only
no,
some
and it's the seed oil fat. It's certain types of fats. We'll get into it one day on here. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Anna, you can bring the topic and we'll talk about anything, and I'll chop it up and I'll give it.
I'm a big proponent of all of that on my Facebook, so I'm happy to get into that.
I see a lot of people on your Facebook. You got a lot of people on there. But anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. This is what we're going to say is probably the official start of the Random Files. Is really right here is where we just kind of, we cut it up and we sliced and diced, as Anna said at the beginning, and we've been waiting for Anna. And I'm so glad that we waited, because I was itching to do it. And I said, and Anthony stopped me. He goes, no, we need her. And I said, but he goes, enough said. We need her. And I said, okay.
We shan't discuss this any further. No, we shan't.
What was it again?
So we shan't discuss this any further. We simply shan't.
So I shan't myself and I walk away. That was it.
I'm going to continue to pretend that conversation actually happened, because I prefer reality in that way. So.
Well, I did wait for you, because, and him and Nelly were instrumental. They were both like, look, You know, they're like, you're a 6 at best on a good day, you know, and I'm like, well, at the right angle, maybe a 5.5, 6. But Anna is like an 8, a 9, whatever. So you need somebody there to be, you know, and you're smart. That's the thing too. You could put a pretty person next to them. They don't, if you that, what is that going to do? That's not going to do anything. You need a smart person to be there.
I'll take
So
that.
you and I go way back, and we've had lots of conversations, and so you know where I stand, and I know where you stand, and it's intelligence is what we need right now, and we need reasoning, reasonable people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we first bonded over really was that I remember when I was first on the show, and I mean we recorded my episode we had to split it into 2 separate episodes and we went on for hours and hours and hours. But then you had to chop it up too because oops, I knocked my microphone because we started going off on all these conservative topics because we had so much in common. So, yeah, it's the blossoming of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, we've been friends ever since. And
Yeah.
so thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you backstage for a minute, Anna, and then we're going to be back tomorrow night with the real Random Files where we can say a little more about some of these topics. We'll go a little deeper into it. So show up on it's called you can put the link on there, the real Random Files on Rumble. Rumble allows you to say whatever, at least for now.
Yep.
And then
I
we
already
can
have
go a
some
little bit
topics in
deeper.
mind.
Oh, I had to sneeze. I didn't want to be like all on. So thank you.
It's all good as brain.
That's why I was just like, I had to sneeze. I was like, so yeah, the real Random Files, and we will be tomorrow night at 8:00, and me and Anna will be back, and then you can ask questions, and we can go deeper into some of these subjects. Because think about it, you might have something you want to add to it or whatever. So be there tomorrow night. Thank you. This is going to be an every Friday thing. I mean, we only had 100 people, but so what? There are 100 good people, and it's the beginning, right? I got to say this. I want 100 good, smart people trying to listen, trying to learn and absorb than 1,000 or 10,000 morons. Because I always preach that it's quality over quantity. It is. It really is. Because in the old days, I mean, look at the 300 in Thermopylae. Everybody always compares this. It's the same thing, right? Thermopylae was the place, but 300, the Spartans, they destroyed like thousands of Persians, and it was just 300 of them because it was the quality. The Romans often fought against overwhelming odds against these tribal people, and they destroyed them. They decimated. That's where the word comes from, decimation. 1 in every 10 get killed, right? So you want those legions, those quality legionnaires. You don't want this scrub people, whatever. They're weak links in the chain. Right. So we'll get into all. We have a lot to talk about. There's so many subjects to talk about, and there's so many ways we can do it. And so I am just thankful to God. I want to thank God for coming through and getting me a good co-host. And we got this guy here. What was your name again, sir?
It doesn't matter. I'm dumb. Remember
The bubblish fisheye.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, big dumb,
big dumb,
big dummy,
big. Well, you're not big. You're only about 200 pounds.
Big dummy, stupid head. Poop
I'm calling you that on Facebook from now on.
That's Poopacaka head, right?
Yeah.
What does your shirt say though? Show them your shirt. What is that? That's it.
It says conquer your demons.
And conquer your demons.
Nice.
And you know what? You start with Saint Michael. Yeah. Conquering your demons. That is an important thing, folks, because when you conquer your demons, your particular flaws and whatever your faults, you can do anything. It starts with you. You have to conquer yourself first, right? And present yourself to God. Discipline. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Be disciplined. All right, guys. We'll see you. Thank you for tuning in to the Random Files tomorrow night. Real Random Files on Rumble. We'll see you. Good night.
Good night.